So let us start with a chapter called as Organism and Population. This chapter is very much important with respect to your examination, where you can expect 8 marks questions from this chapter. So usually what happens, we'll be having one 5-mark questions in this chapter, and we may get one 3-mark question, or that 3-mark question could be divided into 2 marks and 1-mark question, or you may also get a direct 1 mark or 2-mark question and a 5-mark question chapter. So most importantly, you have to study this chapter, so you'll be getting 8 marks from this chapter. So in case of organism and populations, if we consider, the organisms includes a species, right? So this is a species, what we have, this is a species, and group of species are called as organisms, and we'll be having different species. This is one species, this is one species, this is one species, this is one species. So we'll be having group of different species. We call them as community, and group of communities within the biotic and abiotic factors are called as ecosystem. So all these things are found in case of your biospheres. Okay, so let us see what are different types of questions may appear in this chapter. So mainly the first question that can be seen in this chapter is explain the abiotic factors. Explain the abiotic factors influencing the population of an organism. Means ಯಾವೆಲ್ಲ abiotic factors ಗಳಿದಾವೆ, ಆ abiotic factors ಗಳು organism population ಮೇಲೆ ಹೇಗೆ influence ಮಾಡ್ತದೆ. So that what you have to explain this. So I will explain one by one. So mainly there are 4 different abiotic factors which could be used. So that is your temperature, water, then what we have is light, then we have is soil. These are the 4 abiotic factors which are present in case of your which are influencing your population in organisms. So let us see one by one. So first we'll move on to the temperature. Temperature changes from equator towards the pole, and along the altitude the temperature will be also changes. Okay, so for example, what do you mean by that? For example, if I take, this is our world, right? So we'll be having equator here. So this is an equator. You consider an equator, so this is your 0 degrees Celsius. So here you'll be going to your latitudes, what we have changes, right? So in the equator the latitude will changes. As you go away from the equator, what happens? Temperature decreases. As you go away from the equator, what happens? Temperature decreases. At the same time, at the south, this also same thing. As you go away from the equator, here also what happens? Temperature decreases near the Arctic or Antarctic zones. There's a fasting that I mentioned. And also they have mentioned that springs, hydrothermal vents, deep sea having the more than 100 degrees Celsius. So even we have the organisms in case of this low temperature, that is even for minus 15 degrees Celsius. Or there are also other thing called as hydrothermal vents. Okay, hydrothermal vents, where usually we can see the microbes called as archaebacteria, right? We have a microbes called as archaebacteria which can survive is more than 100 degrees Celsius. It can survive if the temperature is more than 100 degrees Celsius. So that is, you have to mention the temperature changes from the equator towards the pole. Both the pole, what happened? Temperature changes. Even the organisms can also be seen in the highest temperature, that is 100 degrees Celsius, that is near to the springs, thermal springs or hydrothermal vents. So next what we have, we have eurythermal and stenothermal organisms. So what do you mean by eurythermal and stenothermal organisms? As it is mentioned here, see, this is important. Okay, so this is important with respect to the definition. So you have to mention tolerate wide range of temperature or tolerate narrow range of temperature. Okay, wide range of temperature or narrow range of temperature. So this could also be asked as 1 mark question. Remember that it is comes as completely 5 mark question. That is abatic factor. So then you have to write all these temperature, water, light and soil. If it comes, then it may also come as 1 mark question. Okay, it may also come as 1 mark question, as 1 mark question. Okay, so either eurythermal organisms, what do you mean by eurythermal organisms, or what do you mean by stenothermal organisms, or define eurythermal organisms or define stenothermal organisms. Okay, so you know what do you mean by eurythermal organisms, as I have defined there. So eurythermal organism is nothing but having the wide range of temperature, wide range of temperature. So what do you mean by wide range of temperature? For example, if an organism can survive for a longer region. For example, if an organism can survive in 16 degrees Celsius also, and also it can survive in 40 degrees Celsius also. Means any range 16 to 40 degrees Celsius or 10 to 40 degrees Celsius. So it is a larger temperature, right? From 10 degrees Celsius to 40 degrees Celsius. So example, if you consider humans, we can survive in case of higher temperature, that is 38-40 degrees Celsius also. We can also survive in the lowest temperature, that is minus degrees Celsius also. That is mainly due to the thermoregulations what we can see in case of our body. Okay, that is what we have is your eurythermal. Remember that you have to mention Uri means wide range of temperature. It is wide range of temperature. Tolerate wide. Okay, it should mention tolerate, and range is important. So in case of this one it is Uri, where in case of stenothermal. So again tolerate and range is same, but you should mention that is narrow range of temperature. So what do you mean by narrow range of temperature? It is narrow range. So what do you mean by narrow range of temperature? So it means it can survive for only small duration, the small temperature. For example, 26 degrees Celsius to 28 degrees Celsius. It is very small degrees Celsius, right? For example, if you take some frogs, right? Specifically, some of the fishes, some of the frogs, they can survive in case of very small temperatures like 26 degrees Celsius in the 20 days. So ಇದು ಖಾಲಿ 2 degrees Celsius ಮಾತ್ರ ಸರ್ವೈವ್ ಆಗಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಅಲ್ವಾ, ರೇಂಜ್ ನಾವು ನೋಡಿದರೆ. ಸೊ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾಯಿತು 30 degrees Celsius, ಇಟ್ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ರೇಂಜ್ ಅಪ್ ಟು 30 degrees Celsius. ಇದನ್ನು ಬರೆಯೋ ಅವಶ್ಯಕತೆ ಇರುವುದಿಲ್ಲ, ಬಟ್ ಐ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟೋಲ್ಡ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ 10 degrees Celsius ಇಂದ 40 degrees Celsius ವರೆಗೆ ನೀವು 30 degrees Celsius ನ ಯಾವುದೇ ರೇಂಜಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವುದೇ ಟೆಂಪರೇಚರ್ ದೇ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಸರ್ವೈವ್, ವೇರ್ ಹಿಯರ್ ಇಟ್ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಸರ್ವೈವ್ ಇನ್ ಓನ್ಲಿ ದಟ್ ದ ಚೇಂಜಸ್ ಇಟ್ ವಾಟ್ ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಇಸ್ ಓನ್ಲಿ 2 degrees Celsius. ಅದನ್ನು ನಾವೇನು ಕರಿತೇವೆ ಸ್ಟೀನೋಥರ್ಮಲ್. ಸ್ಟೀನೋ ಅಂತ ಬಂದಾಗ ನೆನಪಿಟ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ, ಸ್ಟೀನೋ ಅಂತ ಬಂದಾಗ ನ್ಯಾರೋ ಅಂತ ಬರಿಬೇಕು. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಯೂರಿ ಅಂತ ಬಂದಾಗ ವೈಡ್ ಅಂತ ಬರಿಬೇಕು. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಇನ್ ಕೇಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಯುವರ್ temperature. So next we move on to the water. See here in water they have mentioned the productivity and distribution of plants depends on the water. So what do you mean by depends on the water? Productivity ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು? ಆರ್ಗ್ಯಾನಿಕ್ ಮ್ಯಾಟರ್ ಪ್ರೊಡಕ್ಷನ್ ಮಾಡುವಂಥದ್ದು. ಆರ್ಗ್ಯಾನಿಕ್ ಮ್ಯಾಟರ್ ಹೇಗೆ ಪ್ರೊಡಕ್ಷನ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ? ಥ್ರೂ ಫೋಟೋಸಿಂಥಸಿಸ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಹೇಗೆ ಪ್ರೊಡಕ್ಷನ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ? ಥ್ರೂ ಫೋಟೋಸಿಂಥಸಿಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರೊಡಕ್ಷನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತದೆ. ಫೋಟೋಸಿಂಥಸಿಸ್ ಥ್ರೂ ಪ್ರೊಡಕ್ಷನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತದೆ. ಸೊ ಡಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿಬ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಅಗೈನ್, ಹೇಗೆ ಡಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿಬ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿ ವಾಟರ್, ದಿ ಆರ್ಗ್ಯಾನಿಸಮ್ಸ್ ಹೇಗೆ ಡಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿಬ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ ವಾಟರ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ. So clear water, for example, if I take this is a water, is a pond, so we'll be having different depths. right? So we'll be having 2 meters, we have 4 meters, we have 6 meters, we have 20 meters, and all will be having different depths. So now we'll be having different organisms. We may have a species A here, we may have a species B here, we may have a species C here. We cannot see any species over here. Species C not seen here, species A not seen here, species B and A not seen here. That is because of the variation in the temperature along the water gradient on the depth of the water. That is the first thing. At the same time, this is depth in the water, depth of the water. But I'm just explaining. At the same time, salinity of a water. Next one what we have is salinity of water. Salinity of water. So if we consider salinity of water, water can be divided into 3 types depending upon the salinity. As I mentioned, depend on the salinity, right? Depend on the salinity. The water can be divided into fresh water, estuarine, and marine water. Fresh water, estuarine water, and marine water. So depending upon the salinity, we'll be having 3 different this one. So this is very less than 5 ppt what we have. Okay, so we'll be having less than 5 ppt. So where in case of the estuarine water, we have around 25 to 30 ppt, and it is more than 32 ppt. Okay, this is in case of your marine water. So we'll be having different organisms found in different. So the marine organisms have its own type, the estuarine water will have its own type, the freshwater organisms are different types. They cannot survive in marine cannot survive in freshwater, right? So the organism distribution also depends on salinity. So again you can see over here we have ಯೂರಿಹೆಲೈನ್ and ಸ್ಟೀನೋಹೆಲೈನ್. ನಮಗೆ ಮೊದಲೇ ಗೊತ್ತುಂಟು ಸ್ಟೀನೋ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು, ಸ್ಟೀನೋ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನ್ಯಾರೋ, ಹೆಲೈನ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು, ಸೆಲೈನ್. Okay, ಹೆಲೈನ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು, ಸೆಲೈನ್. So now we have ಯೂರಿಹೆಲೈನ್ organisms. We have ಯೂರಿಹೆಲೈನ್ organisms. So what I mean by ಯೂರಿಹೆಲೈನ್ organisms? So in case of ಯೂರಿಹೆಲೈನ್ organisms, they tolerate wide range of salinity. For example, Mytilus, this is bivalve, right? So wide range of salinity, andre it can survive in varied range, like in case of 20 ppt. Okay, okay, in case of, for example, we'll be having for 20 ppt, and then see we'll be having 20 ppt. From 20 ppt it may be of 32 ppt, and then you see 20 ppt are more or less what, this is more or less fresh water, this is more or less fresh water, where here this is more or less, not more or less, this is your marine water. So this is what we have is your marine water, right? So this is what we have is your marine water. So now what do we have? The organisms can survive in varied range of salinity also. Okay, so varied range of salinity also. So depending upon that one, we have different organisms. Okay, so let us see the other one. So next move on to the light is an important factor for photosynthesis. As we know that light is most important with respect to photosynthesis of a plant. Without light we cannot have a photosynthesis. Photosynthesis is light important. Flowering of the plant, now what we call as photoperiodism, photoperiod anta karitare. So now already study ಮಾಡಿದ್ವಿ last year ಅಲ್ಲಿ. So photoperiod, so that is different types of plants. We have short short day, long day, and day neutral. Short day plants, long day plants, and day neutral plants. All these three types what we have, they are comes under your photoperiodism. So we require a specific amount of the light. We require a specific amount of the light for the flowering. We require light for photosynthesis, and also light is also required for the animal cues. Animal cues in the sense we have different types of organism, diurnal organism and nocturnal organisms. So what do you mean by diurnal organisms? Diurnal ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೇನು? Diurnal organisms ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೇನು? Organisms are active during daytime, right? Organisms, they are active during daytime. At the same time what we have is your nocturnal organisms. We have a nocturnal organisms. So what do you mean by that? We mean that organisms that can active during night. Remember that. Okay, they are active during night and they are active during daytime. So diurnal is day, where nocturnal is night. Okay, so night. So that is also one of the most important. Light is also one of the most important for the movement of the organism. So they are more active for the predation here, more active during the daytime, they are more active during the night time. So along with that, the light will also influences your seasonal variations. What do we have over here? Okay, so seasonal variations in light intensity. Photoperiod cues the limiting for their foraging and reproductive migration. So seasonal variation. So what do you mean by that? So if you consider light intensity in different seasons, light intensity varies. Light intensity varies at the according to the season, right? According to the season, light intensity varies. So these seasons will also be an important factor for the migration. So why it is required? See, for example, summer migration ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. Summer season ಬಂದ ಕೂಡಲೇ they will migrate to the coolest place. Okay, so they cannot survive in that particular summer season. So organisms what will do? For example, think that this is a hot place, summer. Okay, and this place what we have is colder region. So now mainly the birds or the other organisms, they'll move from this one to this one, this one to this one. When it becomes summer here and colder region here, winter means winter here, so what they do, they just come back to their original position. So that is what we have, migration can be seen over there. Okay, so foraging as I've already told you, they are active during the daytime and active during the night time. So that is about the light, how actually the organisms are influenced by the light. So what you have to mention? You have to mention photosynthesis, flowering of plant. Animals are categorized depending upon the light, that is diurnal and nocturnal, and also it has then seasonal influences. Light intensity, influence of the light intensity on their various activities such as reproductive and migration. Okay, so next one, last one what we have is soil composition. If you consider soil composition, there are three different types, right? As I have told you, sand, silt and clay. One minute. Okay, soil composition, if you consider, soil mainly contain sand, silt and clay, depending upon your size of the grain size. We call them as grain size. Consider ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ we'll be having three different components in a soil, that is sand, silt and clay. So now in case of, it will be a larger one. Suppose think that this is soil A, this is soil B. If you consider we have a soil A and soil B, so we have a larger particle of soil like this. We'll be having a larger particle of soil over here. So in between that we'll be having the grain size, a pouring size, right? So if you pour a water, if you pour water now, so now what happens? That water will move like this through this one and it will reach in a very fast, right? So water holding capacity would be very less. Water holding capacity would be less. It is less. Where in case of soil B, think that this is which called what we have only sand. We have sand. Where here think that we have a clay. This soil is made up of clay, so the particles are very small, right? So whatever the particles we have, these particles are very small and they are compactly arranged. The particles are very small and they are compactly arranged. Small particle size and compactly arranged, compactly. So now if you pour the water here, it takes time. Water will come down, but it takes time. ಇದು ಕೆಳಗಡೆ ಬರಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ತುಂಬಾ ಹೊತ್ತು ತಗೊಳ್ಳುತ್ತೆ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಸೊ ಅದನ್ನು ನಾವು ಹೈಯರ್ ವಾಟರ್ ಹೋಲ್ಡಿಂಗ್ ಕೆಪಾಸಿಟಿ, ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಈ ಸಾಯಿಲ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹೈ ಇನ್ಕ್ರೀಸ್ಡ್ ವಾಟರ್ ಹೋಲ್ಡಿಂಗ್ ಕೆಪಾಸಿಟಿ, water holds faster or higher, so the water holding capacity is very less in case of the sand. So the size also important with respect to. At the same time, for the organisms which are having different types of organisms are present here, right? So we'll be having different types of organisms, and all those different types of organisms, for example soil or burrowing organisms, soil nesting organisms, or what we call as burrowing organisms, and these burrowing organisms will burrow there, or they'll prepare their nest. Okay, these organisms prepare their nest at the particular area, like we'll be having smaller size. Silt ಮತ್ತೆ clay ಮತ್ತೆ silt ಇರಲಿ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಓಕೆ, ಯಾವುದು ನಿಮಗೆ ವಾಟರ್ ಹೋಲ್ಡಿಂಗ್ ಕೆಪಾಸಿಟಿ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಸ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಮತ್ತು ಸಿಲ್ಟ್ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇರುವಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಬರೋವಿಂಗ್ ಆರ್ಗ್ಯಾನಿಸಮ್ಸ್ಗಳು ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ವಾಟ್ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಮೆನ್ಷನ್? ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಮೆನ್ಷನ್ ದಿ ಸಾಯಿಲ್ ಕಾಂಪೋಸಿಷನ್, grain size have an important factor towards water percolation of the water and water holding capacity of the soil. So at the same time we'll be having different mineral and pH in different soils. Okay, so these are the four important points that you have to write if they have asked about abiotic factors. They have asked about the abiotic factors. Okay, understood? Fine, let's move on to the next question. So the next questions would be, explain logistic growth curve or growth in population. Explain the logistic growth in population or world host per logistic growth ಅಂತ ಕೂಡ ಕೇಳಬಹುದು. Explain world host per logistic growth ಅಂತ ಕೂಡ ಕೇಳಬಹುದು. Explain growth curve in population growth ಅಂತ ಕೂಡ, logistic growth in population ಅಂತ ಕೂಡ ಕೇಳಬಹುದು. So what you have to mention, you have to write all these things what I mentioned here. So usually this is found in case of limited resources. This is found in case of what? In case of the limited resources. Limited resources ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು? Limited resources ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನಮಗೆ ಒಂದಿಷ್ಟೇ ಅಮೌಂಟ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿ ರಿಸೋರ್ಸ್ ಇರೋದು. ಈಗ ಫುಡ್ ಇರಬಹುದು, ಶೆಲ್ಟರಿಂಗ್ ಇರಬಹುದು, ಅಥವಾ ವಾಟರ್ ಇರಬಹುದು. ಆಲ್ ದೋಸ್ ಥಿಂಗ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ resources which you can use it. ಆಯ್ತಾ? So that resources is called as carrying capacity. How much organisms can hold by that resources is called as carrying capacity. Remember that this could be asked as 1 mark question. Total amount of the resources that can support maximum population is called as carrying capacity. The population hold by the resources is called as carrying capacity. Remember that. So if you see the logistic growth curve, if you see a logistic growth curve, when we draw the logistic growth curve, you have to write all these things. Then you have to draw the logistic growth curve. So where you have to mention K, that is your carrying capacity. Okay, so it will be, this indicates change in population dn by dt, and this indicates time. Okay, this indicates time t. So what actually happens? So the growth curve initiates very slowly. Okay, so growth curve initiates slowly, the population increases from the population increases like this, and when it reaches the carrying capacity it goes straight up. Okay, so it move on, it takes faster, remember that. Okay, suppose, so this particular range what we have, so this is population 0 and the population slowly increased. Okay, so population slowly increased, and this populations what we have, okay, so population increased and slowly the population raises when it goes to one particular region. Then when it reaches to the k ಗೆ ಬಂದಾಗ ಏನಾಯಿತು, ಕ್ಯಾರಿಂಗ್ ಕೆಪಾಸಿಟಿಗೆ ಹತ್ರ ಬರುವಾಗ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಪಾಪ್ಯುಲೇಷನ್ ಸ್ಲೋ ಡೌನ್ ಆಗಿ ಹೋಗ್ತದೆ. ಕ್ಯಾರಿಂಗ್ ಕೆಪಾಸಿಟಿಗೆ ಹತ್ರ ಬರುವಾಗ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಪಾಪ್ಯುಲೇಷನ್ ಸ್ಲೋ ಡೌನ್ ಆಗಿ ಹೋಗ್ತದೆ. ಬಟ್ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಪಾಪ್ಯುಲೇಷನ್ ಸ್ಲೋ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಆಮೇಲೆ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, ತುಂಬ ಸ್ಪೀಡ್ ಆಗಿ ಕ್ಯಾರಿಂಗ್ ಕೆಪಾಸಿಟಿ ಹತ್ರ ಬರುವಾಗ ಪಾಪ್ಯುಲೇಷನ್ ಸ್ಟಡಿ ಆಗ್ತದೆ. ಸೊ ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಡಿಫ್ರೆಂಟ್ phases here. So the first phase what we call as lag phase, we call them as lag phase, and this is the phase where it is increasing, called as log phase. This phase is called as log phase, and this phase where it becomes steady, and we call them as asymptote phase or steady phase. So we call them as asymptote phase, we call them as asymptote phase, or also you can write steady phase. Okay, or also you can write as in steady phase. So now how to find out the change in temperature with change in population with respect to the time? So the expression you have to write, so you have to write the population changes very slowly. You can write in a pointwise, the population grows very slowly, it's called as lag phase. Gradually increases, shows the faster, that is the log phase, and when it reaches the carrying capacity it becomes steady. So the expression you have to write after writing this diagram. After writing this diagram, you have to write the expression, that is dn by dt is equal to r into n divided by k minus n by k. Okay, r into n divided by k minus n by k. This is what you have to write. So what is mean by this one? So what you have to mention, dn by dt. So what do you mean by dn by dt? Dn by dt is nothing but change in population at time t. Okay, so what is r? So you have to mention r. R is nothing but intrinsic rate, of population growth. Andre ಎಷ್ಟು ಚೇಂಜ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಬಂತು, ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ನಥಿಂಗ್ ಬಟ್ ಯುವರ್ ಬರ್ತ್ ಮೈನಸ್ ಡೆತ್. ಆಯ್ತಾ? ಸೊ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ n is n ನಾಟ್ ಅಂತ ನಾವು ತಗೊಳ್ಬಹುದು ಇದು n. So what do you mean by n? N is nothing but your initial population. So we know that n is your initial population. So n is your initial population where k is equal to carrying capacity. ಇದಿಷ್ಟನ್ನು ನೀವು ಬರೀಬೇಕು. ಅರ್ಥಾಯ್ತಲ್ಲ? ಸೊ ಲಾಜಿಸ್ಟಿಕ್ ಗ್ರೋತ್ ಕರ್ವ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಕೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಅಥವಾ ವರ್ಲ್ಡ್ ಹಾರ್ಸ್ ಪರ್ ಲಾಜಿಸ್ಟಿಕ್ ಗ್ರೋತ್ ಕರ್ವ್ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, ಸೊ ನೀವು what you have to write? First you have to mention what is carrying capacity. Then what you have to write is how actually the growth will take place. First you have to mention lag phase, then log phase, then asymptote phase. Then what you have to do is you have to write the expression. So if you write, okay, so you have to write this expression. If you write these expressions, it will be completed. Not only writing the expressions, you have to write all these explanations for those expression also, whatever will be having. Okay, you have to mention that also. Okay, this is the most important with respect to the examination from this chapter. Okay.